Hi, this is Joseph. It's Monday. It's September 28th. We're currently trading during the New York session, and we're looking at the euro dollar. I wanted to do a quick update to show you how the trading system is working, especially for intraday opportunities like this. It's been pretty choppy over the last couple of hours. We've seen some moves, especially if you look at the dollar Swiss, it's been really choppy. But again, this is the euro dollar. So we have a base forming here, watching volume, noticing the shortening of some of these moves to the downside and possible spring opportunities, looking for springs. In some cases you get them, some cases you don't. It really depends. You have to have the ability to read it and then identify what you're looking at is actually an opportunity, not that it's just more of the same, which would be consolidation. That's a skill that you definitely have to hone in on if you're going to be using a point and figure and then combining with what you see with these opportunities in these signals with the candlestick chart and using volume. So this was an opportunity. This all set up right around the start of the London session, as many opportunities do. It's not going to happen every day. I say that all the time. Every day is going to be a little bit different. Sometimes the London session may be a little quiet and flat, when it first starts, and it may create more of the consolidation, and perhaps the breakout could develop during the New York session. So here's a perfect opportunity after we were able to confirm the base and then the break to the upside, with an entry at approximately 1.1641. That was my entry. That's the actual entry based on the signal here generated with the point and figure. And based on the data that I had here with this point and figure chart, the count took me to the 1.1680. Now, you'll notice that this this chart, this point and figure chart shows a high of 77. And that's because there wasn't enough change for another X or 0, or O, as some people call them. I'm going to show you here my candlestick chart, and you'll see that it actually hit 80. So this is the same basic chart. You're looking at the euro dollar. This is the high right there at 1.1679. This does not show tenths, but it did hit 80 on a MetaTrader platform that I was trading. In a situation like this, and this is one of the reasons why I suggest being hands-on, which means, in my opinion, when you're hands-on, you're not likely to experience some kind of move like this where it will hit the target of 80, and let's say you set the target of 80, but for whatever reason the spread could widen at that point. Your broker could do that perhaps, and then the trade won't close out at 80 even though it hits 80. So you want to be setting price alerts, which is what I typically do, and almost all of my coaching students will do it. We're going to set in price alerts, especially if we're getting in at like 43. That's a big move. We don't want to give any of the profits back. So we're going to be setting up price alerts about 5, sometimes in some cases, depending on how far it is, 10 pips before it actually hits the number that we're actually seeking to close out the trade at. So I'm sorry, this trade resulted in 36 pips with the euro dollar. Now this is the pound dollar. And the pound dollar had already formed a base last week and was already on the move higher. And then we had this range of consolidation into the close on Friday, and then when the market opened on Monday, you have to be able to read what's going on here. Is this reaccumulation or is it redistribution, depending on which direction you're trading it in? You have to be able to read that. Is it another range of consolidation in the middle of an uptrend, or is it really a top, and is it going to reverse and come back down the opposite direction? So I teach you how to do that in my coaching course. It's critical that you know how to do this. If you can identify the patterns and you can confirm what's going on, you're not likely to make mistakes. You're not going to look at a range of consolidation like this in the middle of an uptrend and immediately start thinking you need to start shorting it out, selling it, because it just doesn't appear to be going any further. You're not going to look at it that way. You're going to see that it is actually a new level of consolidation in the same uptrend, and it's going to give you another opportunity to trade it higher. Now, our entry today was 1.2780. The first target, again, scaling out. I always recommend new traders scaling out. That's why I always suggest these levels. Sometimes they're going to be psychological levels. Sometimes they're based on the actual count here with the point and figure data that I have. With the point and figure data that I had, the final target was 1.2880. This paid approximately 100 pips. And some of my coaching students actually earned almost 120 pips on this trade. They took it to the next psychological level, which was the 00, the 1.2900. And here's the dollar Swiss. Now, I mentioned that the dollar Swiss was a bit choppy. I'll show you what's transpired over the last few hours here on the right in just a moment. But I want to show you the initial setup. So when the market closed on Friday and then the market opened this week, things just basically went sideways. There was really no change here, nothing for me to really consider. It was in a range of consolidation. I could clearly see it, but there's the breakdown. You can clearly see this level of support. There's no mistaking that is a very clear level of support. And it provided the opportunity for me to get into the trade at 0.9276. Now again, based on the data, the count I had for this trade was to the target of 0.2955. Price stopped right there at 0.2955. Now they're not always that perfect, but that's how reliable and that's how predictable using point and figure actually is. Now today I earned 152 pips. Some of my coaching students actually held on to that one trade there on the pound dollar a little bit longer than I did, and they ended up earning 172 pips. And keep in mind, we're not double counting here. We're talking about from the entry to the actual targets. And I'm opening the doors this week to my coaching program. I'm only going to accept a total of 25 coaching students. And each one of those coaching students is going to continue to work with me for an entire year. And you'll learn how to execute trades like this, earning profits like this in my trading course. If you have any questions about any of the material that I share in this video, please drop a comment just below this video.